In this video on the silkscreen process, you're going to learn how to use the screen printing machine at MakeHaven and print with Plastisol ink and use the flash dryer. This video covers using the t-shirt Platen and Plastisol ink. If you plan to do tabletop printing, see our video on that process. This video shows our former setup for the screen printing area, but the new one works very similarly. First, dress the platen with the shirt you plan to print. Be sure the shirt goes completely around the platen, including the piece underneath, and that it lies flat. Once your shirt is on the platen, position your screen in the clamps and get it registered where you want it to print. If you're using Plastisol ink, you'll need to use the flash dryer and the laser temperature gauge. There is one temperature gauge in the printmaking area by the flash dryer, or you can borrow one from the measurement tools drawer by the woodshop windows. Make sure that you set the gauge to Fahrenheit. Warning: if you are planning on printing light-colored Plastisol ink on a blended material, you risk a t-shirt disease known as dye migration. Click the link to learn more about dye migration. To begin printing, spoon the ink you plan to use onto the frame on the far side of the stencil. Make sure you have enough ink to cover the whole design. Choose a squeegee that is just wide enough to cover the stencil area, but not too wide that it's a tight fit. Note that some people prefer to flood the screen with ink with the screen slightly above the piece without actually printing. You can talk more about flooding the screen with a facilitator. Here you can see this maker has chosen to go directly to printing. Putting both hands on the squeegee, hold it at a 45-degree angle and pull the ink towards you. Then push the ink away at the opposite angle. Last, pull towards you one more time. 3 passes is usually enough. Lift the screen and check that you have enough coverage. If not, replace the screen and do one more pass and check again. Do not overprint. This video is showing the old setup. With the new setup, the dryer will slide into place over the shirt, and you won't need to remove the shirt from the platen to cure the ink. To monitor the temperature, point the temperature gauge at the shirt and pull the trigger so the red dot is on the shirt. For cotton, you want to heat the ink up to 320 degrees for 10 to 12 seconds. If the shirt starts to smoke, roll the flash dryer away immediately. Light-colored fabrics can char if left too long under the dryer. Blended fabrics will heat up much faster, and you must be careful about melting the synthetics in a blend. Any sign of smoke is the sign for you to remove the dryer. The ink should be cool enough to touch after a few seconds. If the ink has turned rubbery and dry, then you've cured the ink. Be sure you turn off the dryer and unplug it once you've finished curing your inks. The flash dryer is a burn hazard and must be off and unplugged when not in use. Remove all excess ink from the screen and tools and place it back in the container. Using Plastisol ink means you need to use the Franmar solvent to clean up. Use some of the Franmar solvent from above the sink and put it on the screen. It is non-toxic, so you don't need gloves. Wipe the screen with the paper towel and you'll start to see the Plastisol ink break down. Once you have thoroughly wiped out the stencil with the Franmar solvent, you can finish up by spraying out the stencil with the hose. This should remove any excess ink from inside the stencil and your screen.